How in the hell is the youngest O-line in the NFL acting more mature than half the vets out there, while our safeties room is turning into a MASH unit? Ethan Carter here, and things are getting intense in Seattle. Gray Zabel is already carrying himself like a leader. Leonard Williams looks like an uncaged monster. The training room's become a damn waiting room, and Shaquille Griffin, he's getting bounced around like a high-priced yo-yo. There's something deeper taking shape here. And it could be the start of a real turnaround or just a controlled implosion. Which one of those forces is gonna win out? We need to talk about it. All right, my fellow Seattle Seahawks fan, before we dive into the details this Thursday with the latest on our team, a quick request from me to you. If you follow the Seahawks Insider Report and you dig our analysis but you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. It is absolutely critical for the channel and for our community of Seahawks fans to keep on growing. Thanks so much for your support. What in the hell is this curse hanging over our safeties? Because this is not normal. 3 names, 3 major worries, and a critical game right around the corner. The Seahawks dropped the first injury report of the week, and the red alert is blaring. Julian Love is out with a hamstring. Nick Emenwari, the promising rookie, still can't even put weight on that ankle. And Devin Witherspoon, knee still locking up, isn't practicing. Those 3 guys being out of action would be a nightmare on its own. But the injury list just keeps going. Zach Charbonnet, who was starting to find a rhythm in the backfield, also sat out with foot pain. And then you've got 5 more guys limited in practice. Derek Hall with a hip issue, Torrey Horton feeling his groin, Josh Jobe with an unstable knee, Ernest Jones-Afor with his shoulder, and Abraham Lucas dealing with his elbow. It's an entire line of question marks before the game against the Saints even kicks off. The most worrying part isn't just the number of guys, it's the critical positions they play. The secondary, which is already a work in progress, could get completely exposed against an offense that's picking up steam. Mike McDonald said Witherspoon and Emenwari could still return to practice this week, but he made it crystal clear that for Emenwari, practice is non-negotiable if he wants to play. In other words, the clock is ticking and the margin for error is razor thin. In the middle of all this, the defense is completely off balance. Without Love and Emenwari, the rotation is vulnerable, overloading Julian Blount and forcing the team to improvise. Witherspoon's absence makes it even worse. He's not just a starter, he's the mental anchor of the secondary. The psychological impact of seeing him on the sidelines doesn't just hit the DBs, it hits the entire defensive structure. Not to mention what it means symbolically. He's the guy who plays angry, who sets the tone. And if that tone goes silent on Sunday, the defense's emotional leadership shatters. But what's really catching my eye here, what we need to talk about, is how the Seahawks are handling this roster uncertainty. Between injuries, limitations, and potential returns, the coaching staff needs answers now and total flexibility. And that's where this week's curious roster move comes into play. Cody White is in, Shaquille Griffin is out again. But this time, there's a strategic reason behind it, and it might just reveal exactly how Seattle is planning to handle this mess of injuries and depth. Does the staff really have that much faith in Witherspoon's health, or are they already setting up Plan B before anyone even knows it? So, what's the deal with Shaquille Griffin? The veteran has become a chess piece on McDonald's board, promoted, waived, signed back, and now sent back to the practice squad. This Wednesday, the Seahawks made another one of those roster swaps that at first glance looks like a rerun. Cody White got elevated from the practice squad to the main roster. In the corresponding move, Griffin was cut, and as a vested veteran, he immediately returned to the practice squad without having to clear waivers. It's the exact same shuffle we saw last week, just in reverse. But why keep doing this? And why do the complete opposite in such a short time? The answer seems to be between the lines. When you look at that injury list and see Devin Witherspoon isn't practicing, the natural expectation would be to keep a vet like Griffin ready to go. But nope. The coaching staff seems perfectly calm leaving him on the back burner, which tells me one of 2 things. Either they have a rock-solid belief that Witherspoon is playing, even without practice, or they're way more confident in their rotation of young DBs than they're letting on. And here's the tactical genius of it. By shuffling Griffin and White between the rosters, the Seahawks reset the clock on their practice squad elevations. Each player can only be brought up 3 times before they have to be officially signed to the 53-man roster. With this little dance, Seattle preserves the flexibility of having Griffin available without burning an official elevation. It's high-level roster chess, not just for the salary cap, but for tactical depth. Cody White, meanwhile, might not be a star, but he's a useful piece. He can line up in the slot. He's got chemistry with the backup QBs, and he helps on special teams. His presence signals that the game plan against the Saints might involve more versatile offensive packages, maybe even to compensate for absences in the backfield, remembering that Zach Charbonnet is hurt too. All of this points to something even deeper. McDonald is testing the emotional maturity of this roster. This constant shuffling isn't just logistics, it's a barometer for his trust in the young guys and a message to the vets. Nobody has a guaranteed spot. You produce, you play. You don't, you're gone. The youth is taking over, and not just on defense, because while some vets are becoming disposable pieces, there's a rookie on the offensive line who's starting to look like a seasoned vet. Gray Zabel might be the clearest symbol of this new mentality. Consistency, execution, quiet leadership, and zero time for BS. Who would have thought the youngest offensive line in the NFL is playing like they've got battle scars? And the center of gravity for that early maturity is a guy named Gray Zabel, 23 years old, a rookie, and he's already the benchmark for stability in the heart of Geno Smith's protection. When you hear Mike McDonald say he doesn't look like a rookie, that's not just a compliment, it's a declaration of war on the very label. Zabel came into this season under a ton of pressure, surrounded by doubt and high expectations, and he's responded with the kind of attitude that doesn't show up on highlight reels but holds an entire offense together. On his left, he's playing right next to Charles Cross, who's been an anchor of technique and emotional support. On his right, he's reunited with Jalen Sundell, who he shared a line with back in college. A synchronicity that's pure gold against inside blitzes. Their chemistry is obvious, but the secret to Zabel's success might be happening behind the scenes, and his name is John Benton. The O-line coach with 33 years in the trenches has become something of a spiritual mentor for the kid. He knows what I'm thinking before I even open my mouth, Zabel said, revealing a connection that goes way beyond technique. When a player feels that his coach believes in him, it changes the game. And for Zabel, that's pure fuel. But the most symbolic thing here is the philosophy behind this growth. McDonald made it clear from day one of training camp, rookie or not, you step on that field, you play like a vet, no excuses, no adjustment period. The kids got the message, and Zabel especially took it on as a personal mission. He said it himself. You get to be a rookie for the first play of the season. After that, you're the left guard protecting the quarterback. Period. And he's delivered. The Seahawks O-line, made up of guys with an average age of 24, is delivering consistency, chemistry, and, the rarest thing of all, the attitude of a unified front. They make mistakes, they adjust, and they move on. Fast, hard, and without any drama. For anyone who watched the physical and emotional collapse of our O-line in the years after the Legion of Boom, this feels damn near like a rebirth. But if the rookies on the O-line are shining with calm and discipline on the other side of the ball, there's a veteran playing like a man possessed. Leonard Williams isn't just dominant. He's making the front seven look like a hurricane, and there's a lot more going on there than the cold stats can ever show you. How does a guy with 11 sacks, 28 QB hits, and 16 tackles for loss get snubbed for All-Pro? It's unbelievable, but maybe it was the perfect fuel for the fire. Because the Leonard Williams we're seeing in 2025 isn't just dominant. He's playing like he's got a debt to collect from the entire NFL. The nickname Big Cat has never made more sense. He doesn't run, he hunts. And now, with total freedom inside Mike McDonald's system, he's become organized chaos in the middle of the defensive line. The sting from last season has turned into quiet motivation. Getting named a Pro Bowl alternate was practically a personal insult, and his response has been on the field. 2 weeks, 11 tackles, half a sack, a ton of pressures, and the kind of presence that doesn't show up in the box score but absolutely changes the game. Brian Baldinger already said he's never looked this dominant. Daniel Jeremiah said he didn't see anyone better on the field in week 1. And the secret? It's not just physical, it's psychological. Williams says he's having fun again, and that changes everything. When a veteran player plays with freedom, when he trusts the guys around him and feels like he can make a mistake without getting stared down, the game just flows. He's not locked into a scheme. He's unleashed, reading, attacking, reacting on instinct. And instinct is what separates good players from forces of nature. The icing on the cake is the synergy with the rest of the front seven. Byron Murphy, too, Jaron Reed, Derek Hall, Boy Mayfield, DeMarcus Lawrence, Uchenna Nwosu. It's a rotating wrecking crew. Against Pittsburgh, they pressured Aaron Rodgers 13 times without blitzing. You heard that right. A 40% pressure rate with just the front four. That's elite. That's Legion of Boom vibes. And it's not just raw talent. It's a mindset. Williams revealed that the group prefers not to get blitz calls. They want the one-on-ones. They want to dominate physically, to win with brute force and will. That changes the entire DNA of the defense. Instead of relying on tactical tricks, they're winning at the line of scrimmage. The impact of that, the whole team breathes easier. The secondary plays with more confidence. The offense gets the ball back with better field position. The morale goes through the roof. But hold on. There's one more detail you can't ignore. Williams said they haven't even hit their peak yet, that the unit has more to give. And if that's true, then what we're seeing right now is only the beginning. But is this defensive growth happening in step with the offensive maturity? Or are we watching two different teams in one on the rise, the other just holding on by a thread? There's a pattern emerging in Seattle, and it's no coincidence. On one side, you have a young offensive line showing uncommon maturity. On the other, a veteran defense playing with hunger and freedom. And in the middle, a roster being tested physically and emotionally by injuries, adjustments, and bold strategic decisions. Are we witnessing the birth of a new core? Or are we just papering over deep cracks with isolated moments of brilliance? The truth might lie in consistency or the lack of it. The question that's left is this: is this team actually evolving, or are they just kicking the can down the road on a bigger crisis? Drop a comment, 12th man. Do you believe in this project?